fleeing the Michigan cold for a couple days by coming to Los Angeles, and will be spending some time living with the Maserati GranCabrio Trofeo. So the convertible version of the Gran Turismo, and Trofeo means it's the fast one. So I gotta put my bag in the back. Actually, no, I'm not gonna put my suitcase in the back because that is not enough space. Okay, all right, it is going in the passenger seat. Okay, well, that works. We do have back seats, so you could put bags back there, but that'll work for now. Foot on the brake, cold start. Why does it seem kind of quiet? This is not bad. Grab the burger because I haven't eaten all day, but got it lettuce wrapped, so it's a little healthier. And parked here watching planes land at LAX, which is pretty cool. To be expected, right into Los Angeles traffic. Got myself a coffee. Caffeine was desperately needed. I am running on 3 hours of sleep. But let's see how the GranCabrio Trofeo handles actually a lot of stop and go traffic, not just some. Some absolutely abysmal traffic does mean we get to try out the driver assistance tech. So we have lane keeping, we've got adaptive cruise control. You do need to keep a hand on the wheel. And for stop and go, you have to either tap the accelerator or press the resume button to resume moving once you come to a complete stop. So it's been a little bit since I've been out to Southern California. I did have a trip earlier this year that was postponed due to the fires. Obviously, it looked terrible out here. I think things are better now. But I have also spent time with the Gran Turismo Trofeo out in Southern California. Last year, that yellow one, that paint, was a nearly $30,000 option, part of the Furosery. It's like their extended customization palette, but it was a $30,000 paint job on the Gran Turismo Trofeo, so the coupe. The GranCabrio is just a convertible version of that. Kind of small minor differences, small tweaks there, but the big difference, obviously, the roof comes off, and this is also a Trofeo model, so mechanically it is the more potent version with the 3-liter Nettuno twin turbo V6. It's related to the one found in the MC20 in that family. Here it makes 542 horsepower, and I did enjoy my time with the Gran Turismo Trofeo, so I'm excited to see what it's like with the top down, which I'm not doing right now because we're just idling away in traffic, but definitely this weekend I will do some top-down enjoyment of the GranCabrio Trofeo. After a productive day of work inside, we're going to take the GranCabrio Trofeo out for an evening drive. We're going to go up into the mountains. 33 is an amazing road. I love it up there. We're going to scout the road out because tomorrow a friend of mine is bringing out his Dodge Viper, and we're doing a video with this. I want to make sure the road is clear, see what the situation's like, and also I want to take the Maserati for a drive. We have the Maserati Trident on that digital dash clock there, and then you have an outline there of the GranCabrio. All right, let's open the valves up. Why aren't the valves open yet? I usually don't like silver cars, but I gotta say, oh, there we go. The valves just opened. Huh, that took quite a bit of time. I toggled it over the Corsa as soon as I turned the car on, but I was saying, take a look at this silver paint in the sun. It is a pretty car. Let's put the top down. So we use the lower touchscreen here. I've got to swipe and hold. No buttons. Just like on the MC20, Maserati does not seem to want to give you a physical button for putting the top up and down. Mercedes is like that with the SL63, but you can like double tap and hold a button, but they also want you to do the kind of swipe and hold on the screen. All right, there we go. Top is down. The weather out here is so nice right now. Today, the weather actually was perfect in Southern California. At home, it was snowing and cold again, so I'm very, very thankful that I am in California right now. As with some other higher-end luxury convertibles, you have this air scarf function which blows hot air on the back of your neck, which is definitely quite nice. And of course, the other perk of convertible is you can hear that engine quite as sonorous and melodious as the previous generation's naturally aspirated V8. All right, let's do some driving in the GranCabrio Trofeo. We're up in the mountains, we've got the top down. Let's toggle into sport mode, manual, and have some fun. The Nettuno V6 is definitely a very, very interesting engine. Related to the one found in the MC20 supercar, they say it has some Formula One derived technology with the pre-ignition chamber, making it a bit more efficient, more powerful. It is a fairly complex 3-liter twin-turbo V6. Here it makes 542 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque as a Trofeo model. And also, the Gran Turismo and GranCabrio are now all-wheel drive. So that's a big change from the previous generation where it was rear-wheel drive only. We now have a twin-turbo V6 and all-wheel drive. In terms of noise, it definitely makes some good noise. Not quite as melodious and sonorous as the previous naturally aspirated V8. I remember the old Gran Turismo and like an MC Stradale. Oh my gosh, that noise was phenomenal. It makes that upshift like kind of almost a farting noise when you're on it. And you can hear the turbos, the whooshing noise. That's actually pretty pronounced too. Especially with the top down. So the mechanical changes mirror the coupe, obviously. Same platform, right? So pretty good weight distribution. It's almost 50-50. It's got adjustable air suspension, the electronic limited slip differential, and the different drive modes that actually do a pretty good job of changing the personality of the car. When you go from Comfort to GT, it starts getting a little firmer. Sport, even more so. And then Corsa is the most aggressive, and this is where we have lowering of the thresholds of stability and so forth. It turns off all your driver assistance systems. With Corsa mode, it drops the air suspension down. Active park braking goes away. So you see the air suspension has dropped down. There we go. So this is where it gets the most rowdy. Even so, the steering is still a little bit on the light side. Not the most communicative. One of the consequences of becoming a convertible, especially when you are a conventional convertible, not a carbon tub mid-engine supercar like the MC20 Cielo, is you get a little bit more body flex in motion. I especially noticed it when I was on rougher pavement, potholes around town. You could feel a little bit of like shake in the body. I mean, just a consequence of removing the roof. The convertible also is a bit heavier than a coupe, like 359 pounds heavier. But you still have pretty good capabilities. This thing is fun. You can hustle it. They've definitely sharpened it compared to the previous generation. But it becomes something that's almost like, it is sporty, but it also is still kind of luxurious. It's one of those intermediate cars, right? The Bentleys and like a Rolls-Royce Wraith, obviously those cost way more, but it's gonna be way more luxurious. This has some luxury, but it's not peak luxury. Has some sport, but it's not peak sport. I feel like this segment has started to move much more hardcore sporty, and Maserati tried to follow that too. Look at, the outgoing M8 competition. The Bentleys are becoming more and more sporty. Aston Martin is really like entering supercar sporty territory. They're not as much the big floaty yachts of past, but Maserati never really tried to do that. They were always just kind of that intermediate, glamorous, beautiful, nice sounding, and nice performing luxury coupe convertible. Now this engine in this platform is capable. It makes good power. but I can't help but feel like I would miss the V8. The SL63 AMG has a twin-turbo V8. The Mercedes, or that is Mercedes, the Aston Martin Vantage Volante still has a twin-turbo V8. The Bentley now has a hybridized V8. The outgoing M8 was a V8. But they went to the Nettuno V6 here, and it's definitely fast. It's fast, but the segment has really moved up. So like living with this, like you can do this kind of stuff in the canyons and it's fun, but it's not where this lives. This is cruising around town, top down. It's pretty quick. It's got some nice luxury touches, some technology. I think that's where the GranCabrio shines, even as a Trofeo. Maserati is in a little bit of a eliminate buttons phase, which I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of. They're really digitizing the interior, and it seems luxury is starting to move towards tactile mechanical feeling, right? Like look, the digital display clock now, there's no more dash clock. It's a digital compass, or you can change it to a G meter, which is cool and fun, but you know, I miss some of the old-fashioned kind of stuff, right? What's wrong with buttons? I honestly kind of hate having to touch, swipe, and hold a touchscreen to put the roof down. I've accidentally just slipped my hand off the edge of the screen by accident, and the rooftop mechanism stopped because I wasn't holding it anymore. But it's not all doom and gloom. The interior has stepped up in terms of the build quality. Seems pretty nice in the recent Maseratis I spent time with. We have these big fixed metal paddle shifters here on the column. They're not on the steering wheel. They're fixed to the steering column. Plenty of nice leather and stitching across the interior. We also have some glossy carbon fiber trim. And that brings me to the price. This one here is optioned to the low 200s range. The Gran Turismo Trofeo I spent time with that $30,000 paint job, it looked fantastic, but that was also quite pricey. And that's where I think we have a little bit of an issue with the pricing of this vehicle, because of some of those other competitors I mentioned stepping up with even more power for this price point and a V8. In the MC20, I was okay with the price point because that gave a properly exotic supercar experience, carbon tub, absolutely beautiful look, and the twin turbo V6 made it feel like this like rowdy rocket ship. But in something like this, I feel like I want a little more lazy luxury, and V8s lean themselves better to that than a more high-strung feeling, smaller displacement twin turbo V6. And yes, I know, Maseratis depreciate. It's a fact. Aston Martins depreciate. McLarens depreciate. Everything depreciates, right? That's the normal world. That's what they're supposed to do. So yes, go ahead, leave your comment about how it's going to be worth less in a year or two. That is a factual statement, which just means if you want to buy a lately used one, you can get yourself a good deal. And it's fun. It's fun. It's still pretty looking. And with the top down here in California, it's been quite nice to live with. On my way down, I had to take a moment to stop and appreciate this view. Just take a look at that. The mountains off in the distance, the curvy road down there, the sunset. You know, this is a pretty classy spec with that white cream leather interior. We have the blue soft top. There's a couple different color options, and then the silver paint. Personally, I usually don't love silver paints, but you know, it works on a luxury sporty GT like this. And the proportions, of course, look nice on a Maserati. We have the big grille up front with the trident in the middle, rather iconic. And they keep these three little vents here along the sides of the Trofeo badge. All right, time to hop in. We're going for a drive in the mountains again. And today we are filming my friend's Dodge Viper, so that's exciting. I'm gonna drop the top because it's beautiful and sunny right now. It is a little bit annoying that you have to just keep holding your finger on the screen. If I accidentally let go, it stops. There we go. All right, convertible top open. That's interesting. The back windows are still up. There's only one set of window switches, so there's no individual control for the back windows. What you do is you press that window switch again, and that goes down. To pull it up, you go up on that switch, and then it does the back window first and then the front window. So this one drops the front, and then you press it again for the rear one to go down. Dang, do the Italians know how to make a nice paint color. That's a quite nice metallic silver with the sun hitting that front fender right now. We have the Trofeo badge on the side with the red accent. Looks quite nice. This paint specifically is called Bianco Astro. When I first saw the paint name, I thought Bianco would mean it would be white, but it's this metallic silver. Just noticed that on the side. Since 1914. Maserati certainly has a very long history. Let's take a moment to enjoy the beauty of the Maserati, and of course, the scenery here up in the mountains. This thing just looks so good. Top up, top down, the styling, the proportions. And you have some family design cues. The headlights in a DRL shape here really reminds you of the MC20 supercar. Of course, we have the long oval Maserati grille here with the iconic trident. That has to be one of the most iconic design elements in the automotive industry. I remember being a kid and I would sketch the Ferrari logo, the Lamborghini logo, and I'd draw the Maserati logo with the trident. We have some carbon fiber, a little bit right there. The side skirts, and then coming around back, this little rear deck lid. The diffuser here is just painted gloss black. Have the quad exhaust tips here and a little bit of carbon fiber there. And the beauty of being a folding soft top is they were able to preserve a lot of these like body lines. You don't have this bulky bulge back here for a folding hard top. It is still a full 4-seater. Although, yes, I have my backpack back there because the trunk is just minuscule. You can get a little bit more space here if you don't have the top down, but with the top down, this is like the wind deflector thing you can put in. It's tiny. It is not very practical. Underneath here, that's the batteries back here, so it's not a practical luxury GT convertible. It is badged GranCabrio, so they don't call it a Gran Turismo Cabriolet, Gran Turismo Spider. It's a separate distinct model called the GranCabrio, and this is the Trofeo trim. Some two-tone machined wheels with the silver and black, and we have blue calipers here. Brakes are pretty strong, and we do have a very large hood. I think they call it the Cofango because it's the hood and the fenders. Let me pop that and show you. They went to a lot of aluminum construction on this generation too. Where's the little tab? There it is. Aha. So you see how it includes also part of the fender here. The Trofeo badge moves along with this giant hood. Some more aluminum to bring the weight down. And there it is, the twin-turbo V6 powered by Nettuno. A perk of going to the twin-turbo V6 is it's a bit more compact, and you see it's further back. So it's technically, I believe the entire engine is behind the front axle, which is better for dynamics, weight distribution, handling, and so forth. And it is definitely a pretty potent engine. And I think I already mentioned there's no Modena trim for the GranCabrio. It's either this Trofeo version or the Folgore, the full electric one, which I did get to drive, and it's quick as you would expect. It's like 760 something horsepower. It's pretty potent. A lot of sculpting here too. You can see on the hood that's functional, channeling air over these fenders are really cool. When you're driving, you can really see the fenders too. And like I mentioned earlier, the silver paint, again, not my personal favorite, but as the sun's hitting it, looks pretty nice. It is definitely a good looking vehicle, and that's what Maserati has to do. They have to make one of the prettiest options in the segment, right? That's one of their biggest selling points. It still needs to sound good, and the twin turbo V6 is not my favorite noise per se, but it definitely looks good. Interior, this very light white leather is showing some dirtiness, but we have the herringbone design here. This is where the air scarf blows hot air, and then the embossed Maserati, debossed, whatever the Maserati logo stamped on the headrest. Same thing in the back here. And the Sonos Faber sound system. See the little speakers there, metal speaker grills, which is pretty much ubiquitous across luxury vehicles. Electronic door release here with the emergency one down there. And then we've got glossy carbon fiber in the middle, little barn door storage area. Fairly small cup holders. My water bottle does not fit. It is 2 large diameters made for dainty little Italian beverages, probably not gigantic American gulp-sized bottles. Let's see, what else? Talked about those paddle shifters. A lot of the stuff is familiar. Gran Turismo, same interior. GranCabrio, same layout. So they've gone to this new, very digital outlay. Back into the car, we're heading down to Santa Monica tonight. When you first get in the car, you have the Maserati Trident show up on that center little digital dash clock display. And then you have the silhouette of the car there. And then when we close the door, it goes through a quick little animation, the red Trofeo script. And then turn her on. Every single time you get in the car, you have to hit accept. Every single time on that top infotainment screen. The lower screen works pretty well, but you have to pay attention and see what you're doing on here. So like, for example, when you're swiping up and down for changing temperature, you can tap, you can do this kind of like up and down swipe. You can also do that for changing the fan speed. But a lot of stuff involves looking down, right? Unlike having just a button to press. And then you can change the ambient lighting, not full color. You're changing warm, neutral, cold. So you're just changing the temperature. So take a look right there on the door. This is neutral. Here's a warmer shade. And then the colder, more blue shade right there. Stuck in some rainy California traffic as we head to the airport to fly off to Chicago. So let's wrap up some final thoughts on what it has been like to live with the Maserati GranCabrio Trofeo. The highlights, I mean, the styling is still beautiful. Even dropping the top, making a soft top convertible, it is still beautiful. The interior is nice. We've got some modern tech. I think the issue I have is the price point and the expectations given the price point. When you're $200,000 to $230,000, there are some other options in the market that bring quite a lot of performance. Something that comes to mind immediately for me is the Aston Martin Vantage, and it's offered now as a Volante, and I really did like the new Vantage. The performance is a step up. It's a little more hardcore, so the Maserati still is more Grand Tourer leaning, especially in convertible form. You do feel a bit of that added weight. It's a little less rigid, right? It becomes less a sharp dynamic sports car. I was genuinely impressed how well the Gran Turismo Trofeo did up in the canyons, the curvy mountain roads. Like, it was really, really fun. But this, again, usually when you go to a convertible on a vehicle like this, it's a more of like the casual, relaxing cruiser. I did find that up in the mountains, in the canyons, I enjoyed this more at like a medium pace, right? Medium speed, curving sweepers. You kind of set the body and it just goes through the turns. That it did very well. Once it got really tight and technical, you feel a little bit more of the body roll, a little bit maybe of the flex and so forth. So those are some of the thoughts in terms of the dynamics, right? The sound, it's okay. It's not the worst thing, but it's not as amazing as it used to be anymore. It's just kind of in the middle. Now, if you don't want sound at all, you get the Fulgore trim, which is the all-electric one, right? That one is very, very impressive. I think if I were to get the convertible, I'd go for the Fulgore just because it kind of suits the top-down, silent, cruiser, crazy power. Like, I think that would be fun, straight line type of thing. And if you wanted a gas one, go for the Gran Turismo. And yes, I know they depreciate. Look at the market values now. I think I saw a dealer listing one for already 30 or 40,000 under sticker. There may be ones with heavier discounts. But I enjoyed my time out here. It was nice to get the top down a bit because it's cold and snowy and there's like an ice storm warning back in Chicago and Michigan. So I'll be a little bit sad to leave. It was nicer weather all week. Now it's cloudy and rainy. But anyways, living with the GranCabrio Trofeo. Check out my Gran Turismo review vlog, the MC20 Tiello. That was fun. Out of the Maserati lineup, that one was actually, Maserati's still doing good things. Holistically speaking, they're making very good efforts to update their vehicles compared to the previous generation that some of them were getting a little bit dated, right? The GranCabrio Trofeo is good. That is a very, very fantastic driving small crossover. The MC20 is beautiful and it's pretty ballistically fun. It's rowdy. It's like old school, sometimes a little bit scary, twin turbo carbon tub supercar. And then they have to make the Gran Turismo and GranCabrio, right? And they didn't depart ton from their old recipe with this vehicle, so it's right in line with that. And if you had an old one, you want to try out the new one, you won't be disappointed, I think, unless you're sticker shocked by the price. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. Thanks for watching.